Hi, welcome to my channel where I talk about my mixed media art techniques, create some tutorials, and just show my lifestyle in general. And today I'm teaching how to create a mixed media series on paper. Some of the supplies that I use are shown here, and they do include brushes, including foam brushes for the adhesive. I use the Liquitex acrylic medium for adhesive, Canson oil and acrylic paper, heavy duty, 11 by 14, Caran d'Ache Neocolor water soluble crayons, as well as China markers, pens, Posca markers, and I use acrylic paints. This is the Stay Wet palette I use, and Sargent Art oil pastels. And here are the stencils that I use. They're well loved if you can't tell. I begin by wetting my palette and adding the colors that I'm going to work with. And I just use a little bit of water with the burnt umber. And I begin working on painting one of the papers here. So what I do is just kind of do some quick movements along the paper. I'm not, focusing on creating anything in particular right now, just trying to get paint on to the paper, because I'm just using this color as the ground. And then this is my second page. Same idea, no particular rhyme or reason to the background. I'm just filling that in. This video is being recorded. I sped it up to 200%, but you can change the speed in YouTube if it's going too fast or too slow for you. And this is my third page, doing the same thing. Just kind of creating a background from where to start, a foundation. There we go. There's something free about this loose style that I really enjoy. Okay. Moving on. I'm going back to my first page, which is slightly dried by now. And this is where I'm going in to add a piece of vintage book paper. I'm trying to figure out where it would look best. I usually try to keep any pieces like this, a piece of paper or fine papers that I use in the upper left-hand corner, because that's generally where a lot of people's eyes travel to. And here I use that acrylic medium that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And I'm moving on to my second paper here, doing the same thing. So basically what I do is I work in steps. So I started first with the color, the first color, and then I'm going in and adding my papers in that next with the acrylic medium. And you'll notice that I put the acrylic medium on the substrate on the paper first, and then I also put it on the back of and then I also put it on top of the collage paper. You can get vintage book pages from old books at antique shops, or if you have any like creative reuse type of stores in your area. There's one here in the Pittsburgh area that I love to go to that sometimes they'll sell vintage papers in packs, or you can even buy them on Etsy. Okay, and I believe we're moving back to the first one. Yep, so that's already dry. And at this point, I am going to stencil. Okay. Try to remember some of these steps off by heart. So I've used this stenciled multiple times, as you can see. You might want to get a newer stencil once it starts getting all cruddy, like the paints and you know, the things you've used on the stencil have started to collect on the stencil itself. This one's kind of old, so you'll notice like the shapes aren't exactly like they're shown on the stencil. So at this point, I mean, I think I need to invest in a new stencil, but for the purposes of this video, it works. And I'm just using a stippling stencil brush, which are fairly inexpensive at any art supply store like Michael's or Joann Fabric, or if you have a local independent art supply store, they sell them. And everything that I'm talking about here, the supplies and everything, I am not receiving any affiliate income or brand sponsorships for this video. I eventually want to get to that point with my art business. So this is kind of a preview of things to come, hopefully. But right now I'm just sharing my process and what I enjoy using. I generally love to stick with acrylic because of how fast it dries, and also how, you know, you can cover up, you know, the media fairly quickly and easily. I can be slightly impatient with my processes, so I think that's a big reason why I have a hard time with oils. I've tried oils before, and I think I'm just way too impatient, whereas mixed media allows me to just kind of make a mess and see it where it ends up. I just really love the mark making process. Okay, now we're back to the first page again. And I'm adding a piece of fine paper. This has little bumblebees on it. It's one of my favorite papers I've used in previous art pieces. If you go to Instagram, you can find my art page, Rachel Caskey Art. It's RACHAELCASKEY Art. I do have less followers on there because I started my art page much later than my personal page, but I'm trying to build up my art page, so I appreciate if you go there instead of going to my personal page. I'm also building out my TikTok presence, and there I actually am under Rachel Caskey Art as well, spelled the same way. So here I am also putting another bumblebee in place for this. I think this is the second page, third page. I'm starting to lose track. That's okay. We'll see where this leads us. Now I attended an art retreat last year in Colorado Springs for the Art and Soul Mixed Media Art Retreat, and one of the collage classes I took, the art instructor, one of her tips was to incorporate pieces in odd numbers because it's better for people to follow that when they look at art pieces. So, you know, if you're going to put a piece in, either use 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. And if they are connected, then they're considered one, but if they're not connected, then you can count that as individual pieces. And also the same thing with the color palette, although I kind of strayed from that a little bit with these pieces. I enjoy using a lot of color in my art. It's very difficult for me to limit my palette too much. I am trying to learn though, and that's the thing about my art. Some people say that my style doesn't seem to have a style, but some of my clients actually have said they can pick out my art from other people's, just the way that my art looks. So I am developing a sort of style, and I've noticed that over time my style has improved. Some of my earlier art is noticeably, I would say some of them are noticeably ugly. I have to admit. I think every artist, you start somewhere and you start out in the ugly phase. Very few artists, I believe, just immediately create their masterpiece from just the get-go. So it's a practice just like anything else. And you don't give up, you just keep pushing through. And the nice thing is you can reuse your substrates. For instance, if I have old canvases, old paintings that I know that they're not good, I'm not going to use them anymore, I can go ahead and reuse that canvas and paint over that old painting. Okay, so what I did was I went in with that green gold fluid acrylic, and what I love about the fluid acrylics is you see how it bleeds into the background colors. It slightly changes the dynamic of the colors beneath. I'm going in with my pink here, and I knew that I wanted to stick with a certain theme. I've been sticking with a theme of native plants and flowers and a very happy, simplistic or innocent looking style, almost like childlike style for this series. But I don't always go in with a theme in mind. I'm trying to push myself to start doing more series and collections. So a lot of my earlier work were one-off paintings that weren't necessarily part of a series. I would say that my best early series were my paintings of animals with wings and crowns, where they were basically animal royalty. Go in with more pink. I think I had in mind a rainbow with that shape there. Okay. All right. So, this one, I believe this is when I come in with my pens and markers, but let me just double check here. Oh yeah, so I'm starting to use the black China marker. That's what these types of pencils are called, China markers. They're the type where you unroll the top so you can show the tip there. I love just going up over and overlapping the colors and even the background, even off to the sides a little. It creates a different type of dynamic, I believe. I could see some of these paintings, it would look really good in illustrated books for kids, for example, or they would look great as wall art in a child's bedroom, or even on throw pillows. What I've been doing is adding some of my art to redbubble.com and in my e-commerce shop on my website, www.rachelcaskey.com. Again, Rachel is spelled Rachelcaskey. And in my Redbubble shop, you'll see a lot of my designs, including my mixed media designs I've created on paper, on canvas, as well as digital designs. And you'll see them on products everywhere from wall art to throw pillows and cell phone cases, iPad cases, hats, t-shirts, you name it, whatever they can put an image on, it's available at redbubble.com. So if you could support my art, and if you like any of my designs, please check them out. I do have a variety on there. If you go onto Redbubble and just search my name, you should be able to find my shop. It's also under named Paper Crafter Nook without the A in craft because it couldn't fit all the letters apparently. So either way, you should be able to find me on Redbubble. Also, looks like here this one is nearly done. I went in with the China marker I can talk. I went in with the China marker on this, and now it looks like I'm going in with a fine line pen and putting in some small dashes around the text area just to give it a little extra visual punch. There we go, and then I put a line around it. And since I'm making this as a series, I'm trying to keep the same type of elements in on each page. And I like to add lettering and wording onto some of my pieces, so that's what I'm doing here. And since this is like a happy, bright, uplifting piece, I'm putting peace and faith and patience on the piece here. Okay. And you can even do something like this in an art journal. It doesn't have to be relegated to separate pieces of paper or separate canvases. A lot of people love to do art journaling. I'm going in now with the Posca markers, just making some dot art. And that is, for some reason, that is so satisfying, going in on top of the acrylic paint and putting these marks on top of the paint like this. I can't explain what it is, but it's just super satisfying. I think that's why some of my pieces seem to be so extra. Like I add so much detail because I just enjoy the process so much. It's like I don't want it to stop, which is a good reason to make more pieces and more collections. Yeah, I'm going in with the white Posca marker. I think one of the things about being impatient with my art, though, is I have to be careful in particular with the white markers. And the white pens, because if the paint hasn't dried properly underneath, it can get onto the tip of the marker or the pens, and then that can ruin your markers. And these supplies aren't necessarily cheap unless you got some coupons from Michaels, which they do offer. Again, I'm not sponsored by them, I'm just a very happy customer. So this has a very whimsical look, which I enjoy very much. I saw a little empty space there, gotta Gotta fill it up. There we go. And here, and this is one of the last, if not the last, step to these pieces is using the oil pastels over top, because otherwise if you use them underneath, they'll smudge. So you want to use this as one of the last pieces if you're using oils in addition to acrylic. And I just used a colored pencil, going in over top with colored pencil. Again, very satisfying process. I apologize for those the art handles that are in my water there got in the way of the video. Next video, for future videos, I will make sure that I have my water off to the side and not in the way of the video camera. I'm just circling the words that I put in there because I felt they were important. And I'm adding more detail to the rainbow. There we go, more detail. I love to use line work, if you can't tell. I love using line work in my art pieces. I do work on art commission as well. Some of the commissions I've done are mostly related to animals due to those animal royalty collections that I've created. I've sold a couple of those ones I've already created on my own, and I've also done an art commission for a former coworker when I worked in the insurance industry. And there's something very satisfying, that again, I'm using that word again, satisfying. There's something very satisfying about doing that for somebody you work with. It just shows how much they appreciate your art and your style, because my style is not photorealistic, and you know, she knew that, and the people who know my art know that I don't do photorealism. Art and creativity does run in my family. My uncle, Jack Fofligen, you can look him up on Instagram sometime. His last name is spelled F as in Frank, O, F as in Frank, Lygen. He is in his 70s now, but he still creates hyper-realistic, photorealistic art, and it is just amazing. When you see his art, it's nothing like this. This is literally child's play compared to his art. But you know, I've learned that each of us have our own voice in our own creativity and our own style. I think it's become so easy to compare ourselves to others that sometimes we allow our voices to go silent because we believe other people's voices hold more weight. But I believe, as a child of God, and I am a Christian, I believe we were all created for unique purposes. And I've finally come to realize that after so many years on this earth, as being now in my 40s, and I don't mind admitting that. But that's something I want to, you know, share with future generations, with my children and anybody else watching my videos, that you do have your own voice, and all you have to do is practice and see where it takes you. Try different things, try new techniques, go to art retreats, get to know people in your community. I think that's one of the hardest things, especially after COVID, is putting myself back out there and to get to know people that I don't know. I mean, when you put yourself out there like that, you're opening yourself up for criticism, ridicule, but you're also opening yourself up for the opportunity of getting to know people and making new friends, and just not giving up on life, I guess. And I feel like a lot of us have, I may be speaking for myself, but I've seen a lot of TikTok videos and social media where people are truly, truly sad and upset. And as somebody with a mental illness myself, it's disheartening, you know. And I look at art as an extra therapy for me, and I know a lot of other artists feel the same way. Even if I don't sell a single piece, working on this art brings me joy, and that's why I want to share it with you too. I want to bring you joy and show you that, hey, you don't have to be a photorealistic painter to make it in this world. There are many different styles, and there are people out there who will appreciate who you are and where you're coming from. You just have to find your people. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find my people, even in my 40s. Kind of takes me back to being that latchkey kid who was kind of on her own, just trying to, you know, go to school, come home, and get into the house and make my own dinner. You know, my parents both worked full time, came from a large blended family, and you know, fairly independent at an early age. And sometimes, you know, you just can't take that out of somebody, you know, who grew up that way. You have to have that, you know, I feel like I have to have that independence and that creativity in my life where I feel broken or empty inside, I guess you could say. I like this piece in particular with the garden theme, because at my last house I started a garden, and I never considered myself a green thumb, but once my older son had recommended creating a garden, and that was something I kind of shared with him, and we grew zucchini and tomatoes and jalapenos. And now that I moved to my current house, I plan on planting a new garden. I haven't gotten there yet, but that's in the works. So this kind of is a visual reminder, like, hey, why don't you go ahead and do that thing? And I think that's another thing. Art works as a visual reminder of some of your goals and dreams. It's a vision board, so to speak. So if you are trying to be inspired by what you're seeing here with my work, try to think of something that inspires you and then create that on paper. Maybe a collection on that. If animals inspire you, draw animals. Doesn't matter how simple, just start out. You know, watch tutorials on YouTube, on Skillshare. And then you can start sharing your art with others. As you can see, I'm going in with a blue Posca marker now at this point. And a little bit of red. Some extra marks around the... I like to underline a little bit. Very nice. That one's done. And on to the third one. This one I think I gave less time to because I put so much into the first two. So I believe this one I didn't even do any Posca marker on it. But it still kind of has the same relative look to it, so it still looks like it goes with the other two. Okay, and I'm going in with the China marker again. Creating little block flowers, as I call them. And I noticed once you start getting to a rhythm with a series, if you notice from just watching this series, I'm a little bit faster with the subsequent pieces because I already have a general idea now of what I'm going after and what I'm creating. So I'm building momentum. I'm going in with the oil pastels. Like I said, I kind of avoided the Posca markers mostly with this one. I focused, I think, more on the China markers and the oil pastels. But this, for some reason, this third one, I believe because it has such a simplistic style, it just speaks to me for some reason. I really think it's adorable. Going in and adding some white with the China marker, the white China marker. The tip fell off. There was a large tip and it fell off, so I went ahead and just used that. I didn't want to throw it away because it was still useful. Okay, and I'm just finishing up with the white here. And there we go. And I'm going back in with the black to make some extra marks. As you can tell, I'm using a very loose style, which I enjoy, particularly with this series. Going in with the blue oil pastel at this point. And there we have it. Just adding some crowns to my flowers. And voila! There you have it. 3 pieces. Done. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Come back for more. Subscribe and follow Rachel Caskey.